Welcome to Storytime. I'm Dr. Jonette on HartsLight Kids, where kids shine bright. Today we have an author that has written a book about a hummingbird. Now this hummingbird isn't any old hummingbird. It's an extra special hummingbird with a really good lesson for us. So let's welcome Miss Wendy, and she's going to let you know what that lesson is. Welcome, Miss Wendy.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Jeanette. Hi, kids. I'm so happy to be here with you today to share with you my book. It's called Hope Flies, Learning to Thrive When the World Feels Wonky. Let's take a look. Although Hope was a hummingbird, one of the smallest birds in the world, she never felt small. She was happiest when she was flying above the ocean, listening to the rolling waves on the beach and floating on the breeze. Hope would pretend she was soaring like the bigger birds on long, magnificent wings. She loved the salty smell of the ocean spray, the warmth of the sun, and the gentle wind ruffling her feathers. Hope admired many of the little details in nature. The morning dew shimmering in cobwebs, the birds singing, and the monkeys chattering in the jungle. She noticed the shades of turquoise in the sea and heard the relaxing rhythm of the frothy white waves. Hope loved to wander and saw beauty everywhere she looked. Her love of nature sometimes distracted her from collecting nectar from the flowers and finding yummy birds to eat. This was a problem because hummingbirds use so much energy flying that they need to eat every few minutes. And Hope would soon have to leave her home in Mexico to fly to her summer home in Canada. The long journey was thousands of kilometers, and part of it was nonstop across the Gulf of Mexico. Hope needed to double her weight before the journey. But Hope was more interested in making friends than in eating. Whenever she wandered, she thought every animal was interesting and unique, no matter what they looked like, how old they were, or where they lived in the world. She loved her fellow feathered flying friends. Her scaly, slippery swimming friends, and her fluffy, furry, fuzzy friends. Hope loved them all, but her best friend was a pelican named Polly. While Hope buzzed around the pier, Polly would tell her stories of his adventures following big fishing boats out to sea. Polly had a deep, hoarse voice that reminded Hope of the sea and salt water. Paul was very good at solving problems, and Hope often visited him if she had a problem or worry. Polly had a way of always making Hope feel better. Hope and Polly loved to perch on the pier and watch the other pelicans dive and fish for their dinner. Every time they dove into the water with a kerplop, Hope would giggle uncontrollably. Splish, splash, splosh. Polly was the only pelican who caught fish off the pier using a pole. He had gotten pretty good at it and sometimes even reeled in the best catch of the day. Why don't you fish like the other pelicans? She asked her friend one afternoon. Well, with all the diving into the sea, Polly explained, I accidentally hit my head on some hidden rocks. Crack. Crikey, I really hurt my brain. It's called a concussion. While I'm healing, I have to be extra careful not to hurt my head again. I've collected some cool things to help manage this concussion, Polly said. I pop on these sunglasses when the sun's too bright or when I have a headache. I use earplugs or headphones when the seagulls get too noisy, and I've got my trusty fishing pole when I'm hungry, but don't want to risk hurting my head by diving. Polly was great at looking for the positives in any situation. Instead of feeling embarrassed because he fished differently than the other pelicans, Polly said he enjoyed spending time with his friends fishing from the shore and felt lucky he could do things his own unique way. Polly encouraged Hope to pay attention to the thoughts in her head, especially negative ones that made her feel small or bad. In his deep, croaky voice, Polly told her, Practice thinking positive thoughts that make you feel strong and good about yourself. Hope would remember his words a few days later when she lost track of time and didn't realize how late it was. She had to get home to her nest before dark. Just as she turned to fly towards home, crash! As Hope lay limp on the ground, she opened her eyes and fluttered her long eyelashes. Hope did not feel right, not right at all. Her beak felt battered. Her head pounded in pain. She felt weird. She felt wobbly. The whole world felt wonky. After a few minutes, Hope shook her head, ruffled her feathers. Dizzy and dazed, she tried to fly, but quickly fell back to the ground. Darkness was falling, and Hope knew she was running out of time. She got up again and slowly started flying home, feeling nervous and discombobulated. Hope did not feel like herself, not like herself at all. She had hit her head hard. Do I have what Polly called a concussion? Hope wondered. Hope's wonky world was disorienting, and soon she was lost. She had no idea how to get home. For the first time, Hope truly felt her size. Realizing how vulnerable she was, she felt afraid and alone. She imagined that she was surrounded by ferocious predators of all shapes and sizes, all bigger than she was. Hope was terrified at the idea of spending the whole night in the jungle, cold and alone. She darted through the jungle, flying this way and that. Scary thoughts chased through her head. Her heart beat faster and faster until her chest felt like it was going to explode. She felt sick to her stomach. Dizzy and overwhelmed, Hope stopped and rested on a vine. She remembered what Polly had told her. She could almost hear his hoarse, croaky voice. It's okay to be afraid, Hope. You need to be careful and alert, but you also have the power to control your thoughts. Don't let scary worries make you feel small or overwhelmed. Practice thinking positive thoughts that make you feel strong, confident, and brave. Hope tried to think positively and said to herself, got this. I can do this. And she did. Because she was calmer, she looked around and recognized a tree and some rocks that looked more familiar. She finally got her bearings. Cautiously, Hope set off for home once again. Later that night, Hope snuggled safely into her nest, but she still felt overwhelmed. She started to cry when she thought about how far she must travel to get to Canada. Her hummingbird family and friends would soon be leaving to migrate north. What would she do? Then Hope remembered to practice thinking positive thoughts. She fell asleep thinking of her friends and listening to the calming sound of the ocean. The next morning, Hope awoke to something tickling her. Before she even opened her eyes, she smiled as she recognized the snicker of one of her girlfriends, a spider monkey named Monty. Monty always knew how to make Hope laugh. Giggling and grabbing the vine with long fingers, Monty swung away through the trees, playfully teasing, "Come on, Hope, catch me if you can." Hope flew out of her nest following her friend who was swinging arm over arm through the jungle. But she quickly realized that she had no chance of catching Monty today. Flying made Hope feel woozy and dizzy. The sun seemed too bright and the bird songs too loud. Everything hurt her eyes and ears and made her head pound. Ugh. For the first time in Hope's life, flying felt horrible. And flying is what hummingbirds do almost all the time. So that was not good at all. Hope just wanted to stay in her nest and sleep. The whole world seemed too bright, too noisy, too loud, too wonky, too much. Hope stayed snuggled in her nest. She was gentle with herself. Her friends came to check on her and help in any way they could, but Hope really just needed time to rest. Her brain needed time to heal. After several days, Hope started to feel a tiny bit better. She realized, though, that to be able to make the long flight to Canada, she needed to make a plan. a plan to help her feel calmer and fly better again. Hope decided to visit her friend Polly. He helped her break her challenges and problems into smaller pieces, and they tried to find solutions together. Hope collected a calendar, a planner, and made a to-do list. Over the next few days, she and her friends had fun thinking of items that would help her with her concussion and make her feel more confident. She decided she would carry everything in a little backpack so she could be prepared wherever she went. Polly found a map that covered her migration route. Flying nonstop across the sea was shorter and more direct, but it would be too long a flight for Hope. Together, they planned a different route that broke up the long flight into shorter day trips with lots of rest breaks. Hope's beautifully feathered macaw friends, the Macs, gave her a pair of earplugs to help when noises became too loud. Plucking one of their colorful tail feathers, they gave it to Hope to remind her to feel confident and strong, and to remember flying high above the ocean, drifting with the breeze. Hope's sea turtle friends gave her a timer that she would take breaks and not push herself to go too far. They reminded her to check how she was feeling and to pace herself so that she didn't get too tired, too hungry, too thirsty, or too overstimulated. Finding sunglasses at the beach, Hope felt more prepared for days when the bright sunlight hurt her eyes or when she had a bad headache. Iggy, Hope's iguana friend, reminded her to be gentle with herself and stay calm. He suggested she try to take deep belly breaths and practice mindfulness to keep a clear, calm mind, or quietly sit and enjoy nature. Iggy gave her a small bottle of essential oils that smelled amazing and helped keep her brain clear, calm, and alert. Of course, Monty was always sneaking silly fun jokes, crafts, and art supplies into her backpack as a surprise. She was so great at reminding everyone that it was important to laugh at yourself, to be silly, and to have fun. All of Hope's friends presented her with a beaded mallet bracelet to remind her of her team of loved ones who were always with her in spirit. They each added a bead to the bracelet to remind her to ask for help when she needed it. With hard work and help from friends, Hope felt stronger, and stronger each day. Sometimes Hope felt more like herself. She even had moments when the world seemed less wonky and much clearer. Hope had learned that she could tackle any problem she encountered. She did have setbacks, difficult days, and times when she felt wonkier than ever, but Hope practiced staying calm and telling herself, I can do this, I've got this. She always had her backpack filled with strategies and tools, and she was a hummingbird. She knew that even when the world gets wonky sometimes, Hope flies.
Aww, that's a great book. Now we know why this is such an amazing hummingbird.
Thank
With an
you.
amazing lesson. What was your inspiration for the book, Ms. Wendy?
I worked in schools, so I got to spend my days helping children like yourselves, your viewers. And unfortunately, one day while I was vacationing, I fell and hit my head. So I had my own crash, like the hummingbird Hope. And
Ouch.
after that happened to me, yes, I had a lot of the same symptoms that Hope had. And so although it's been almost over 4 years now, I had to learn some things to help me to feel better, to have better days, and to be brave, and to help me to, when the days were not, and I just wanted to stay in bed, and the sun was too bright, and the noises were too loud. And so I gathered a bunch of tools for myself. And so that was the inspiration for the backpack. And when I was on vacation, a little hummingbird actually flew into a window, and I helped that hummingbird kind of spend about an hour trying to give it some honey, some nectar, and some water to try and get it back to health. And I was so happy when she flew away And so that's why the main character of my book became a hummingbird.
The hummingbird. So you and the hummingbird are like buddies here. You have a common challenge, which was mashing into something, and you found some great ways to help you deal with and help you understand and feel better when you were feeling less than your best. That is a great lesson. And did I get the lesson right, or is there more?
No, you got the lesson right. I have learned that it's not just because of concussions, though, that our world sometimes becomes wonky. I think we can all agree that with the world and COVID-19 and lots of things in our life, our world can feel wonky. And so as I've shared my book with kids and adults and parents, there are some of the things that help us to manage our days, and it regardless of if you're feeling worried about something, if you've had a life change, whether it's a loss in your life, a death, or your parents, family issues. There's lots of things that kind of throw us off, and we don't really feel like our life is the same as it has been and what we're used to. And so gathering some tools and some strategies that help us to feel better, I think that's something we can all learn to do, and learning to think positive thoughts and to be brave. And even as an adult, even for today, I had to tell myself positive things so that I could be brave and share my story with you. So I think it's just learning how to how to have better days and be happier and calmer.
Those are wonderful lessons, and you did a really great job of following your own advice, because you did a wonderful and awesome job of reading that story to the kiddos. Now the kiddos, and I know their parents, are going to want to know, where can they find that book, because it really does have some great lessons. And I love those pictures. It is a beautiful book.
Thank you. So Hope Flies is available on Amazon. And this was my first book, obviously, as a counselor. I never, ever thought I would be an author. And so I think maybe another lesson is that sometimes you can have a difficult time, and through the struggles, there's positive things that can come out. And the positive thing for me is that although I'm not able to have my job counseling, I was able to write a book and to share that with other people, and to share that for people that I'm not able to meet. So that's a great positive.
That is a great positive. And do you have a website also where they can find out more about you and where you're
I do.
Okay.
So my website is www.hope, HOPE, -sunshine.ca. So
what a great website.
www.hope-sunshine.ca.
.ca. Awesome. Well, Ms. Wendy, thank you so much for sharing your amazing book, and what an inspiration, and what a great example of how you can and how you did overcome a wonky world and a challenge in your life. Thank you so much. And boys and girls, we'll see you next time on HartsLight Kids, where kids shine bright. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Dr. Jeanette. Thank you, kids.